Hello and welcome to our astrological vibrations for Monday, March 18th, 2019 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I can follow the signs of the universe. And as we are in our last 2.5 days, basically, of Sun in Pisces, it's what we really want to do as we finish up the astrological year. As I said in a post the other day, this is basically like the time between Christmas and New Year's. You know how that kind of gets that wonky feel? We're in that space as we gear up for, well, spring in the northern hemisphere, equinox around the world, and the beginning of the astrological new year with Aries. And I really do feel like this is such a strong new year time. Well, at least again in the northern hemisphere, because spring is new beginnings. That being said, fall also has its way of creating new beginnings as well. So before I dig into the astro, I want to announce I am launching my first astro class. Now this is going to be a major one. It's going to be a year commitment. It is 360 astrology. It's going to have 2 meetings a month online. And I have a group that I've put together for those who are interested. So I'm posting the link below this video on YouTube. Come join the group. It doesn't mean you're committed to the class, but that's where all the details are going to be posted and anybody can ask questions so that everybody can see the questions and have them answered. So that link below. But I'm really excited to do this in the time of Aries. And just so you know, we will have our first class after Mercury goes direct. So there we go with that. That being said, let's dig into the astro for this week overall. Let's just look at this week overall. We have the moon building into its full moon. So anytime the moon builds into a full moon, oh my, that is the puppy that we're watching. There's much to say about full moon. Thank you for howling at the moon. It brings up the emotions. It brings up the feelings, just as the moon prepares to show her whole self. So do our emotions. So be very aware of that. We are having, it's another basically supermoon, but it reaches its supermoon state actually tomorrow on Tuesday. So you may really feel those tides of emotions coming in. So we have that going on. We're having our shift from Pisces into Aries, like I said, new year, new astrological year. That's very exciting. We're building into a Mars-Venus square. Square brings up that friction. It can also bring a little bit of passion, but be aware of that under the surface, especially in your relationships, but also in balancing within yourself, your yin and your yang. You may find we were in harmony and now we're kind of out of sync within here. What's going on? There's that. We're also building into Venus connecting with Mercury, which even though we're going to be moving out of Pisces, we're going to have some fog, some chances of fog, and still working that Pisces faith energy. Hence that energy mantra, I can follow the signs of the universe. Even if there's fog, the universe never makes you go at it without signs, without waypointers. And it's up to us to be aware and to be looking for those things that resonate to help guide us on our way. So let's look at the astro. Now we have a fast-moving yod, and it's a fast-moving yod because the focal point is the moon in Leo, and the moon shifts degrees every basically 2 hours or so. So it's a fast-moving yod, but still we have that point, the yod, the finger of God, the finger of fate. This is important. This is important. Notice this. And it's always about what feeds into this yod. So pointing at this moon in Leo, inner child, creativity, that love energy that we talked about in the last scope. This is important. I think the creativity is definitely focused because Pisces is also a very creative sign. Have you had time to be creative? Have you used your powers of creation through this time of Pisces? I don't feel like I have as much as I've wanted to. I've so many times been like, I need to paint, and have not created that space for it. So there may be some of that. Overall, I think the feeling is love. And here's why. We have Pluto. So Pluto in Capricorn feeding in on one side of the yod. And then we have Vesta. Vesta in Pisces feeding in the other side. So Vesta in Pisces, we've been talking about that. Vesta energy. Know your light. Know who you are. Pluto, meanwhile, is working that transformation, taking you outside of this is how you're supposed to live in society, give away your power, that kind of thing, and into like, hey, this is how you're empowered. This is how you're meant to show up. So Vesta, with her light, is feeding into this Pluto energy, being like, you are equipped to take these steps to honor your light. Keep loving yourself through this. Love your experience of this. And I really do. I see that in these two cards. The experiencing card. Like, love your experience, but like, know who you are. These experiences shape you, but they don't make you, if that makes sense. That light is what really truly makes you, the light of the universe. So know that and keep moving with that. And I do feel like I said, that there is some major creation power, which could be this possibilities card, major creation power that's behind it. We're also building into a North Node yod. I don't know if you can hear the little puppy, but she is very noisy. The North Node... The North Node yod is being worked between Jupiter in Sagittarius and Venus in Aquarius. So we haven't quite reached it yet, but it's kind of coming in. And the North Node in Cancer is like, and keep nurturing yourself. Keep nurturing these feelings. Keep nurturing your emotions through all of this process. It's very important. Okay, so today, besides these things that are going on, Moon in Leo, continuing. The Moon in Leo is going to meet up with both Venus and Mars, which are building into that square energy. I mean, they're basically already in it. Venus is 20 degrees, Mars is 21 degrees, so they're within 1 degree orb. Moon opposite Venus. Venus in Aquarius. How often do we shade ourselves for those pieces that we have not learned yet to love? You know? And that's where that Mars square comes in. Mars in Aquarius, that worth stuff. Worth is so strong in the astro right now, and it's going to continue to be with Uranus moving through Taurus over these next several years. But Mars in there really brings that focal. You must learn to love those places in yourself that you have rejected. You must learn to love yourself as that holy divine being. Here we have, bringing it back to that yod energy. There's transformation that is needed because so many of us have listened to what society has told us we should be and what we should do and how it should look to make us be worthy. But that's not the case. So we must know the light in ourselves. So the moon is bringing up our emotions around that. And again, a lot of this worth stuff, it can go back to ancestral stuff. It can go back to past life stuff. But in this life, a lot of it is focused upon the inner child or your childhood. You know, like, you're worthy because you're a good girl or you're a good boy. Do you still have that feeling? And is that feeling like, I have to be a good boy, I have to be a good girl, I have to show up how my family wants me to, I have to show up how my coworkers want me to, my bosses want me to, my clergy wants me to. How much of that are you still maintaining that keeps you outside of yourself? It's time to drop the pretenses. So, Moon is going to trine Jupiter. That's nice. That's some nice relief after having to face this worth stuff. And Jupiter's like, keep reaching for the light. Oh, and by the way, the light is in you, and you can move through this. Jupiter, I also feel like, is providing that higher perspective on some of those shoulds you may have picked up over the years. So look for the higher perspective, especially if you find yourself struggling on that emotional level. Let's see. The moon will then, shift into, mind blank, Virgo. What's the sign that comes after Leo? Virgo. The lunar shift will happen at 6:41 p.m. So anytime we have the moon shifting, there can be a little drop down, a little doling out, especially during Pisces. I've never seen so many people say they're tired as I do in Pisces season. And I say this often, that I feel like sometimes in order to get through us, because we can be so stubborn, that spirit sometimes just has to knock us out. And so Pisces season is ripe with that. Like, go to sleep so your mind doesn't take over. And I do have that. I have the schizophrenia card, which is mental card. Should I go this way? Should I go that way? Moon in Virgo, building up into this full moon energy that we have, may get you tied up in knots in your mind, especially as Virgo is opposite Pisces. Do I focus on reality or do I allow the esoteric? Timing of that bark. What did you hear from that? What are the signs that the universe is providing us via Padma? There's a place for both. What I like with Virgo is to listen to the body. What is your body needing? That's always a major sign. Your body is telling you things, helping you get through. So what is your body needing right now in this experience? Stress, the stress card. I always like Deepak Chopra's definition of stress. Stress is when your basic needs are not met. So what are your basic needs that need to be met at this time on the body level so that you can show up on that spiritual level for whatever is needed, for those possibilities. So there's a way to balance it, but you can't get too caught up in your mind. Final connection of the day is the moon connecting to Uranus. Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus is bringing a lot of change to our daily reality. Moon in Virgo can also highlight beyond our body, daily reality. Change is going to happen. It is ongoing. It is something that we live with as a constant on this planet. Make peace with change. The less you resist, the more you work with these changes instead of fighting them, the better for you. But I also understand the fear around change. But when you get into that fear place, a lot of time you can block that receptivity. So you don't want to block the receptivity. Go with the changes. Look for the signs of the universe. Trust your process. And that's a major part of these last few days of Sun in Pisces. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. So come join me in my astrology classroom. The group on Facebook. If you are interested in joining, I am going to have 2 scholarships. I have not decided how that's going to work yet, but I'm going to put that out there. Besides that, you can always book a reading with me. You can come join my patron room for any extras, and you have the power. The better it gets, and there is more than enough love in the world for you. Namaste.